everyone. This video has been a long time coming for me. I've been wanting to make it for a really long time. It is a topic so close and dear to my heart, and it's so important, and I really hope that this message goes out, and even if it reaches one person whose life it makes a difference in, that will mean everything to me. So if you watch this video, you enjoy it, you take something away from it, please share it with someone who would appreciate this. Now, I grew up in a really toxic, negative environment. I was the eldest of three. My mother was a single parent. All three of us had different dads. My mother had never been married. We were on welfare. She smoked in the house. She yelled and screamed at us all the time. I recently, a while back in one of my videos, I talked about how I received a letter from a neighbor who remembered me as a kid and how it just broke my heart. Because, you know, I have a lot of issues and things that I still deal with today. I have bad memories about my childhood that I can't really form and comprehend. And just to hear what she told me, it kind of verifies a lot of the issues that I've dealt with self-worth, social anxiety, and relationships with other people. She said in the letter that I was 2 years old. She remembered me just being so sweet and how I always wanted to help people and how I loved reading and I always wanted to show people I could read and read with people. And how I always wanted to hang out and be around people, but my mother would continuously yell and send me to my room, and how they heard her, you know, beating me and stuff like that. It didn't get any better, you know, as I was getting older. You know, she would tell me that, you know, I wish I could have a pretty daughter, right? Meanwhile, she looks like the woman in the thumbnail sitting on the couch smoking all day, right? So I didn't have anyone to teach me these things. But I remember that looking around in the environment that I grew up in with my mother's, you know, these boyfriends in and out of the house that I could tell were no good. You know, I'm 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and I could tell that these guys were no good. I do remember looking at this environment and realizing this is not going to be my life. I am not going to recreate this in my life. Now, this was before the internet. You could go on the internet now and find tons of inspiration and tons of different people, but before the internet, you know, you just kind of have what's in your environment. And I remember in school looking at, I had one particular teacher who always kind of impressed me. She had this frosted peach lipstick, and she had this white blonde hair that you could tell was bleached and highlighted. And she had wedding rings, and she was a teacher, and her kids went to the school, and she was always had these coordinating outfits, and she was always so kind and patient. And I remember seeing her, and she was kind of like this image for me of something that I could aspire to be one day. And here I am now. You know, I am a married woman. I'm a part of a wonderful family now. I've built my 6-figure business online. I've really worked to develop my self-confidence, to really learn about myself, develop my spirituality, and overcome my traumatic childhood. And I really would love to see that for anyone else who wants it. It is possible, and it's possible to start today, regardless of whether or not you have resources or time. All you have to have is the drive to do it and the will to do it. And if you're watching this video, I know you have it inside. So if you're excited to get started, click the subscribe and the like button below, and let's go. Now, what does a high value woman mean? Unfortunately, there's only one time in our life when we can just show up, do nothing, bask in the glory of saying, I'm here, love me. That is in infancy. And oftentimes people who didn't get that love and attention as children, they become adults who go up in life looking for that in the world and become sorely disappointed. So for me, a high value woman is a woman who has a higher purpose in life that she's aware of. She has goals that she is working towards. She is working on developing herself and being a better human being. And she's adding value to the lives of those around her. So as a result, women want to be her or befriend her. People want to hire her or buy from her. And men want to provide for her and marry her. So I've got the 3 main areas today that can trip women up when they're coming from a background of abuse and trauma. And this can apply to women of any age, okay? So no matter where you are in life, whether you're, you know, in your 20s, you're young, you're a teenager, whether you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond, married or not, you will take something away from this video. Some of these points are controversial. So I ask that you go into this with an open mind and also consider that this is what has worked for me. This may not be what works for everyone. So the first area we're going to start in is your physical body. Abuse, betrayal, abandonment result in spiritual wounds that humans try to fill with addictions. There are many things people could be addicted to: social media, drugs, alcohol, food, sex, and all addictions affect the brain and the body in very negative ways. Now, addiction is a very complex topic. I'm going to link a really good video on this below by Dr. Gabor Mate. And by the way, anything I kind of mention in this video, I'll have it linked below in the description, okay? So check there for some amazing resources at the end of this video. So I think we would begin to address addiction by observing ourselves, noticing how we cope, noticing the unhealthy habits that we really can't seem to stop that are detrimental to our lives and our relationships. For me, it was food. I used food as a familiar comfort, a crutch, a way of feeling empowered for many years. Many who have a mother wound will also have a food addiction of some type. So that could be overeating, that could be anorexia, that could be bulimia. So if you observe your life and you feel that you have some type of addiction, your first step would be to find a 12-step group in your area. I joined Overeaters Anonymous, and I've also been a part of Codependence Anonymous. I find that group can really help anyone who is trying to deal with any kind of addiction, because it deals with the emotional wounds that tend to cause addiction in people. So I would definitely look into that as well. So I'd recommend looking up and attending groups in your area. Most major cities, even some small towns, are implementing 12-step groups. A lot of them are online now, so that can be kind of a great way to ease into it if you're ready. They are free, they are anonymous. Even if you're not ready to stop your addiction, just attending these groups and learning about how these addictions work, how they warp their mind, seeing it in someone else can really help make it more clear in your own behavior. And it's a great way to start this journey of self-discovery and healing. So the next aspect of this topic of your physical body is finding exercise that you can keep up with and enjoy. Neglect of the body is a response to trauma that we so commonly see in this life. Oftentimes, just how we carry our body through life determines how people react to us. It determines how we show up in the world, right? You will act differently if your shoulders are back than if you're hunched over, right? So there's so many aspects of our physical body that we need to work on. Exercise is especially important one. I wish I had started lifting weights in my 20s, because that really builds up your bone density for later in life, right? So you have less opportunity for sprains and breaks. And it also helps build like the muscles that support your body, so you have less back pain. Exercise also produces feel-good endorphins that karate chop depression. I personally recommend women's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because it's exercise, but it's also building community. And you also get to learn a sense of confidence in yourself. You learn, if you come from these backgrounds of abuse and abandonment and trauma, oftentimes we don't have a good sense of boundaries. So if you learn how to physically defend yourself, you start to find your mentality starts to change, and you start to realize, wow, I am worth defending. I am worth protecting. Right now, there are rules in place. It might be the case that you can't attend classes in person, so I'm going to link some of my favorite YouTube workout below. It's important to work up a sweat and get your heart rate up, right? So that's maintaining your cardiovascular health, and that really kind of gets the endorphins going. It is so important, and I don't want to cry, but it's so important to love and accept yourself at any size. To look at, maybe you've done a lot of damage to your body, but just to realize that this is what helped you get to where you are and stay alive at this point in life. So love and accept yourself, but also keep in mind that excess body fat is correlated to many health issues, including an increase in depression. So if you are dealing with weight issues like I have in my life, don't beat yourself up. Just set yourself small goals towards your health. Don't worry about your weight or looking cute. Think of it as improving your health. So you can start small, just like drinking lots of water throughout the day. Stop with any junk foods, eat healthy foods, and exercise a little bit every day, whether it's a 20-minute workout on a YouTube video or going for a walk. I personally recommend the ketogenic diet. I am going to link that below. Another aspect of this topic of your physical body is maintaining your feminine beauty. Many of us who grew up in homes where we were neglected or abused, we didn't really learn to see ourselves in a valuable way, to care for ourselves. You know, that's how you can tell that you have a sick cat, for example, is if the cat's no longer grooming itself. I looked like a boy for a really long time. Growing up, my mother, you know, she just wore the same torn pajamas and stayed on the couch every day smoking. So I didn't really have anyone to kind of help me or model that for me. I am half African. My mother was Indian and she didn't know what to do with my hair, so she actually just cut it off. I began to learn how to care for my hair, my skin, and to apply makeup tastefully when I got a job working in the beauty department at Shoppers Drug Mart. And I find that maintaining your feminine beauty is something that can really help raise a woman's self-esteem. Sometimes when you show up, you know, put on a cute outfit, do your hair and makeup, and go out in the world, you'll feel a lot better. It's not fair, it's not right, but the reality is that people are visual creatures. Humans will treat you better when you look like you care for yourself. There are many videos online about, you know, learning skincare and makeup and hair these days. You can also go to a department store in your area. I recommend Clinique, who I worked for. I worked for that company for many years. They really teach women how to bring out their beauty in a natural and fresh way. I also like MAC Cosmetics. You can go to these places for free consultations, so you know which products to use for you. Find skincare products that you can afford and maintain. Again, I recommend Clinique. There are also some great options at the drugstore, and I'll probably explore that in a future video. Another thing you can do is to find out your Kibi type. So this is a test you can take that shows you all the different types of hairstyles, makeup, jewelry, shoes, and clothes that work best for you. And I am a soft natural, so I choose things based on that and they look good for me. I am going to link my absolute favorite channel on Kibi types below. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second area that can trip women up when they come from an abusive background, and that is community. When you have no family, when you have an abusive family, you may develop a mentality that, you know, you're just alone in the world, or you may fall back on them for support because you don't have anyone else. So it's really important that you go out in the world and start developing your own sense of community with healthy people. Find people who you can work on a team with, who have similar values as you, who you can get to know, things that you can attend regularly. Some really good opportunities for this is volunteering, meetup groups, church, and also those anonymous groups I've mentioned. Codependence Anonymous, it should be a must, 100% must for anyone from an abusive and traumatic background. Oftentimes when we grow up in traumatic and abusive homes, we grew up around traumatic and abusive people, and they're just kind of in our lives. Now, a person can be directly abusive by, you know, calling you names and yelling at you and sabotaging things, or they can be quietly abusive, like not acknowledging you, ignoring you, making sly comments to take you down. I found that I really had to remove from my life a lot of the people who were around growing up. People who say things like, oh, you've changed, and, you know, they have this sly attitude like, oh, who does she think she is? You're gonna have those voices in your head for a long time, and it's difficult enough without having the naysayers in the bleachers to sit there and throw their 2 cents in. So don't be afraid to cut these people off. You know, block, delete, erase, vaporize. You'll find that once you start letting go of the negative ties and introducing more positive people into your life, that everything starts to change. Now, the third area that can trip women up when they come from abusive backgrounds and homes, love and relationships. A lot of you are not gonna like what I have to say here. So I'm just gonna get to the nitty-gritty and blurt it all out right now. Don't use birth control pills. They are extremely bad for your health and can lead to weight gain and depression. Don't have sex before marriage or at the very least engagement. Don't move in with a man unless you are engaged or married. I actually don't recommend keeping boyfriends either. Keep your engagements with men in group settings, like some of the community things I mentioned, men who you meet through volunteering, men who you join on, co-ed sports teams with. Keep them as friends, get to know them that way. Don't lead them on, don't put yourself in compromising positions like going to their house. A lot of people who have similar trauma will be drawn into your life, and when you come from this kind of deep trauma and these broken attachments with family and parents, until you've worked on yourself, the relationships that feel the most intense, the most exciting, the sexiest, the most attractive are going to be the ones that have a hidden trauma dynamic, and they're going to explode within at least 3 months. I learned this the hard way in my early 20s. I remember I knew this guy for like 3 months, and I remember thinking, oh, I'm so in love with him, and why would he treat me this way, right? Because I remember I didn't like some of the things he was doing, and I remember one day just bawling and crying my eyes out so badly that I had a roommate who actually just came and knocked on my door, and she's like, are you okay? And then I had to stop and think to myself, like, wait a minute. I've only known this person for 3 months. Where is this deep grief and pain towards the way they're treating me actually coming from? And that was when I first started realizing, and it sounds so strange, but I realized it was actually about my mother. And then I realized I don't love this man. I don't even know him that well. It takes a long time for true love to develop. And if you're doing it under intense emotional circumstances or with sexual energy involved, right? Because sexual energy, right? Because sex creates hormones in your head that actually are similar to ones to people who are on drugs. You're not thinking straight. You can't make the best decisions. These chemicals that we experience when we have sexual contact with people are meant to bond people, to bond them to raise children together. So when you're doing these acts with men who you're going to be breaking up with in a few months, it becomes a spiritual wound. If you can avoid doing that to yourself, you must. Because if you didn't have anyone to protect or guide you in life, you must be the one. You must think of yourself as your own daughter, and you must guard your own honor and keep your best interests at heart, not anyone else's. And I know for me, I had to just abstain from relationships for a really long time because I knew that I could not trust my judgment until I got help. I'm going to be making more videos on this in the future. A great book about dating strategy for women is called Fascinating Woman. And again, I'll link that below. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This is the 4th video in my 12 Days of Christmas series, and I'm actually running a giveaway and a contest for this. So if you're subscribed to my channel and you like each of the 12 videos up till Christmas and leave a comment on each of the 12 videos up till Christmas, on Christmas Day, I'm going to be doing a random draw and giving away a prize. And yeah, really excited. I love giving stuff away. I hope this video offered some inspiration for your day or your life. Take courage and Godspeed, my friends, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.